for this game. Only David Ospina and Daniel Malen have not had game time now. Ancelotti still has a few additional cards to play should he choose. In fact, he's going to do that now. Felix Götze will be one of those coming on.
Well, we saw his older brother Mario in action yesterday for Borussia Dortmund. Nice to see him back playing. And Felix has had a couple of opportunities, I think, for the Bayern first team.
18-year-old striker. Also coming on, Marco Friedel and Niklas Dorsch. Ribery and Tolisso bid farewell. Along with Rafinha. Second drinks break. Hummels very, very keen to be at his sharpest for the challenges ahead.
Exciting to see when Niklas Süle becomes part of the plans as well, Paul, because simply brilliant for Hoffenheim last season. Not as much of a ball player as Hummels or Martinez, but an absolute brute at centre-back who has started playing for the German national team.
I think ultimately that does separate Hummels slightly from the rest, his ability in possession and indeed in the air in both boxes.
Absolutely.
But as we have been saying during this tournament, it's not only a question of competition at club level, but for all the German players now, the competition is white hot, given the success of the two international teams they put in the field during the summer tournament, under-21 and the senior team, with the likes of Thomas Müller, Mats Hummels and Jerome Boateng, to name only three, resting. I don't think they rested quite so easily as they would have wanted, to say nothing of the Dortmund contingent. Mario Götze, Marco Reus, people like that.
Sure, many will be feeling the pressure. Jogi Löw is notoriously loyal to squad members. Lucas Podolski was part of his plans for a long time.
Here comes the next wave for Bayern. Kingsley Coman maybe overplayed his hand a little bit then.
Yeah, and it's something with Coman, his decision-making. We've seen it at times in the second half here. One great ball first time into the penalty area for Lewandowski. Other times, as he released it at the right moment. Still very young though, Kingsley Coman, the French international.
Spot the 25-year-old out there now, isn't it? Both teams. Ramsey, senior statesman perhaps. Renato Sanchez. Narrowed a little bit in the possession sense. Bayern have not really had the same cut and thrust here in the second half.
No, it was devastating. James, Ribery, Lewandowski and Müller, some lovely combinations in that first half to tear apart Arsenal. It's actually, especially the last 10-15 minutes, been a much more even affair than it was in the first half.
But still, nothing really by way of goal threat from Arsenal. Winsheimer went all alone. That one was correct, wasn't it?
Yeah, tried to bend the run, but didn't come back enough. And you'll be thinking, Bayern still really only have one out-and-out striker at the club in Lewandowski. It's hard to find backup for him.
Theo Walcott for Arsenal. And Früchtel comfortable, really. Was that the best option from that angle for Walcott? Keen as he must be to get a goal.
This is the kind of angle he likes shooting at, with the instep sweeping it towards the far corner. But he did have reinforcements on the right-hand side of the penalty area.
There were easier balls on then than the one that was hit out to this near side. Inexperience is showing itself in certain areas for Arsenal, I think. Ramsey. Run back by Friedel. Friedel, a left back, and of course Holger Badstuber finally departed Bayern in the summer. Bit of room for a younger player to come through in that position. Friedel wearing 34.
Just tidied up the edges of their first team squad, Bayern. Made some real smart buys as well in the summer transfer window.
Nketiah lost his footing. Badstuber, of course, to go back to him, so unfortunate, losing basically the best 3 years of his career. Many people felt, we're talking about Hummels, the man in possession, being elegant as a centre-back with the ball at his feet. Many felt that Badstuber was even better when he was on his game and fit. But they tried everything. Finally a loan spell at Schalke, and he didn't really excel there either, I'm afraid. So it's such a shame to see his career in such jeopardy.
Stop-start, false promises. He'd come back, get injured after 3 games and be out for 9 months again. Very tough for Badstuber.
Friedel. Nelson did well going back. Little seen of Martinez these days. .183 he stands. Now 24 years of age.
On their finger is weighing up that he will be number 2 choice next season. David Ospina has been linked with a return to France. We know what's happening with Szczesny. Martinez did make his Premier League debut at the back end of last season, his first start. So maybe, he's coming in a few of these friendlies now, he might be back up to Petr Cech.
I think it would be quite disheartening for him, and I think you may well be right, Rob, but, you know, if Ospina does not move on, then he's got to tell Martinez, well, you're back as the number 3 now again.
Without question.
Here come Bayern. Maybe they'll give Martinez a bit of work to do. Cut out by Bramall. Now, can Arsenal get forward with pace? Walcott's run off it, but he gets a free kick. There's an old pro showing a trick then.
Absolutely. I was just about to say that, Paul. Mats Hummels knows what he's doing.
Of course, nowadays, and especially at a club like Bayern Munich, you are an old pro, even though you're only 28. As has been said before, the veteran Thomas Müller at the age of 27, unbelievably. Coman. One of Arsene Wenger's key attributes in any young player is pace, and there is plenty of pace in these young players we're seeing out for Arsenal at the moment. Willock gets a card.
Clear as day, comfortably beaten by that lovely sharp piece of movement from Niklas Dorsch.
Well, El Neni will come into shot probably here, or he would have done. He was covering. I'm not sure it was really necessary to do what he did. Friedel. Cleared by Ramsey. Ramsey took a lot on then. Bayern free kick. On by Alaba to Bernat. Friedel comes again down the outside. Fine stretch. Perfectly executed by Nelson.
Impressed with his defensive work here. Nelson playing in that right midfield, right wing back position that Oxlade-Chamberlain even took a spot for last season. I think he's been pretty disciplined defensively so far.
As you mentioned him, I did him a disservice, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, when I said who has not been used. Of course, he is on the bench. Should have added his name. And he's... Lewandowski impression, going all the way in there, just looking for the tap in, but that's where the similarity ended.
Nice break forward, and it was well spotted by Bernat, but no connection at all from the Austrian Footballer of the Year.
So can Arsenal's youngsters just inject a bit of excitement here late on? I know it's idle speculation, but it doesn't surprise me that Wenger tells us pre-game, you know, we've been training very, very hard, and he's got a player like Oxlade-Chamberlain who's had repeated hamstring problems on the bench, not using him unless absolutely necessary. Don't take a risk at this time, and you know, the youngsters looking to make the impression instead. Ramsey, bit short by him. Pantovic. Renato Sanchez. Been quiet, hasn't he, again?
So his wonderful thrust that he provides from midfield at the European Championships last summer, and he came into that Portugal side, and I felt was perhaps the defining factor in getting them over the line. You know, they probably weren't the best team in France. But again, he's had a summer tournament. He hasn't had a big long break off that perhaps would do him well. Could see him at AC Milan come the start of the Serie A season.
Well, the problem is, at a club like Bayern, you know, the expectations are so great. Top clubs, you do not get a long break anyway, unless you're injured. And that's nice from him. That's a bit more like it. Bernat. And still. And just in the nick of time, Monreal came across. Great work from Monreal, and Arsenal survive. Let's remember as well, Rob, you know, when do the German players get their break? In the middle of the winter. And I know you don't want me to start that great debate again.
You can have that one off air. Well, they do. 5-week break in the middle of the Bundesliga season generally. 34 league game season, 1 cup competition.
A very famous ex-Bayern Munich player, and I will spare him his identity. Winsheimer gets a corner. Once said I said, what do you do on your winter break? He said, 2 weeks, anything you like. Absolutely anything you like. In the sunshine. Nice life.
Well, that was wonderful there from Renato Sanchez. very starting point for that topic. He was wonderful there in creating that opportunity for Juan Bernat, who managed to get away from Niles, who has played the full 90. Looks like he's headed for that anyway.
Arsenal's youngsters holding firm, sticking at it. Alaba denied again. Certainly not going to be a 5-1 against Bayern. In truth, little goal threat, especially second half. Lacazette with a great chance in the first period, denied by a brilliant stop by Tom Starke. Here comes Coman. Alaba, going to be 4 stoppage minutes. Hummels. Dorsch. Took a lot on then, and again Arsenal doggedly sticking to it. Ancelotti applauding the idea behind Dorsch, trying to provide that little spark from midfield. Ramsey. El Neni starting and finishing as a defender. Not done badly really, has he?
No, he's done very well.
Theo Walcott offside.
Also feel his distribution from centre-back's been pretty good. You mentioned it earlier on that maybe Arsene Wenger will learn something about a play he didn't know before.
By accident in this case, with Mertesacker withdrawn at the very last minute before kick-off. Not feeling too good. Suggestions that Kolasinac was also feeling unwell, incidentally, leading to his quite abrupt departure during the first half. Here comes Hummels. Renato Sanchez. Coman. Winsheimer in the middle. Coman puts his head down, tries to go around the outside here. He's done well. Bernat trying to get on it, and El Neni did very well again. Hummels. Cool as you like. Renato Sanchez. Has it robbed all too easily. Now or never really for Arsenal in this game. Iwobi, he's done well. Aaron Ramsey. Iwobi, yes! Arsenal level it right at the death. Alex Iwobi's got the goal. Well, it's not quite the FA Cup final, but it was Aaron Ramsey involved in it. This time the provider, and nearly as good a header.
Wonderful from Arsenal to finish the game with an equaliser of such high quality. Execution from this situation is brilliant. And Aaron Ramsey knew exactly when Iwobi was going to arrive on the scene to plant that header into the corner.
Superb from Ramsey, and what a good header it was. Maybe it was nearly as good as Ramsey's. Different context completely, of course, but a great moment for Iwobi.
Really celebrated that moment, and so did those young players who have resisted Bayern in the second half and avoided them extending their advantage.
So Bayern, who really dominated the first 45 minutes and had so many chances, may be asking themselves why it's ended up here at 1-1, but Arsenal take all the credit, their young players, for not giving up on it, giving everything, and at last, very much at the last,